Relay FM, this is Connected, episode 470. Today's show is brought to you by Fitbod and ExpressVPN. My name is Michael Hurley, and I have the pleasure of being joined by Federico Viticci. Hello, Federico.
Hello, Michael Hurley. How are you?
Hello. I'm attempting a rebrand.
You are?
Yeah, I'm rebranding. I'm Michael now.
Okay. Hello, Michael.
Well, we're gonna talk about it later, but I've lost some branding, so I'm going all in on a new brand.
What branding have you lost?
Now, wait for your introduction. I am Federico Viticci, and I am also joined by Mr. Stephen Hackett. Hello, Stephen Hackett. How are you?
Hello, Federico Viticci and Michael Hurley.
Hello. I mean, we can address the branding thing now if you want to, and then we can talk about everything else later on.
Yeah. What branding do you think you've lost? And we'll come back to it.
I have an audio clip to play for you.
John and I were discussing this idea and obviously adding another review to the mix of annual reviews that we do. It's not something we take lightly. So if we wanted to do this, we were all in agreement. We needed to get it right to do it, to do the OS justice. And what better way than to get in touch with the tvOS guy, the expert, to get this done for Mac Stories. And we're really happy with the results, and we're really happy that you agreed to work with us for this project, Sigmund.
Oh, that was an interesting name at the end there. Because what it sounds like Federico's about to introduce me to App Stories as the tvOS guy. Look. But it turns out that there's been a new one, Now Sigmund's the tvOS guy, much to everybody's surprise.
You multiple times over the years, do you want to write? And you're like, no, I don't like writing.
I could be the tvOS guy here, the name you gave me, but now that name has been taken away and given to someone else. So I am officially retired.
Oh my God.
I'm retired. Federico, you have blessed me with retirement from having to ever think about writing or doing any kind of tvOS.
Now you can go to the beach without an Apple TV in your bag. That's going to be great.
I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm just saying it's happened. You know what I mean? Like, I'm no longer the tvOS guy. Now Sigmund's the tvOS guy.
I did this for you.
No, you didn't. You didn't even know you did
it. Actually, behind the scenes, it was all part of this master plan to do you a favor and free you from this responsibility. So, in fact, you should be grateful to me.
Right, should I?
Yes.
Well, what I am not grateful for is the amount of messages that I've been receiving over the last 48 hours of some variation of where's Myke?
That's a byproduct of the audience. No, but seriously, I have asked you over the years multiple times, why don't you write? Why don't you write? What am I going to put on Mac Stories? Your photo?
Yes.
He's the tvOS guy.
Connected. Here he is.
What am I going to do?
Yeah. No, I don't want to do it. You don't want to edit me anyway. Can you imagine that? Oh boy. You'd never get your review done. You know what I mean? We'd be into November and would still be working on it. But, it's just like, how did I feel when I saw Sigmund's piece go up on Mac Stories? I was like, oh, interesting. There's a tvOS review. And then I turn on one of my favorite podcasts, App Stories. And then I think, I hear Federico doing a wonderful introduction. And then he just, the tvOS guy. And then at that moment, like a spirit left my body and went into the heavens. And now no longer do I need to do it. Because let me tell you, boys, I realized today I haven't even installed tvOS 17. I forgot. I was like, oh, look at all these features. I forgot to do this. And so I'm very happy to not have to think about that anymore. But now I am rebranded, and now I am Michael Hurley. Myke Hurley was a tvOS guy. Michael Hurley is a different person. We don't know what kind of guy he is yet. Maybe we'll find out.
Michael Hurley is the Vision Pro guy.
Nailed it. All right, I'll take that. I'll take that. So far, I've had pretty good success with that, so that's me.
My guess is reviewing Vision OS is going to be much more complicated than reviewing tvOS. I'm just saying the level of work may be different.
But let's also say, though, probably more fun and interesting.
Or fun and interesting.
Because tvOS, it's great, but there ain't a lot going on there on a year-to-year basis. But tvOS, no wait, Vision OS, that's the one. Got to get it right first if I'm going to become the Vision OS guy. So I'm so used to being the tvOS guy, it became part of my identity, but then it was taken away from me. But now, as the VisionOS guy, I get a new life. Michael Hurley, the VisionOS guy. That's me.
You're like
soon.
a superhero that somehow lost their powers.
Yes.
And now you're just a normal person walking around, but you kind of don't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah, so I have to get bitten by a radioactive Vision Pro, and then I can become the VisionOS guy.
You need to get bit by Tim Cook.
Ooh.
And then you become the...
If he's offering, I don't know what to say, If Tim Cook said...
Jonathan Turnus.
If he said, can I bite you? Well, I mean, what are you going to say?
All right. Hold on.
What are you going to say,
Which Apple executive...
John Turnus. John Turnus.
100%.
We all know. Come on. It's John Turnus for me all day.
All right. You can get bitten by an Apple executive, and you get their associated platform in return.
Like you get their powers?
You get their powers. So you become the platform guy. Okay? So you can get bitten by Craig, by Tim. If you get bitten by Tim, you get everything. You're like the successor to the throne. By John Turnus, by Joss Whedon,
Jeff Williams.
Jeff Williams. I honestly, between us and the rest of the audience, I would totally let Craig, bite me.
Yeah, because you want Craig's powers. Right?
Yes.
You can finally fix Stage Manager.
Yes. Or there's also Eddie Q. You become the services guy.
I think he might lick you.
No one can handle Eddie's power. No one can take that. That's too much. That's too much for just one mortal. You know what I mean? Stephen, who do you want to bite you? Who do you want to bite you, Stephen?
Come on, just a little bite, just a little
nibble, Stephen. What executive do you want to give you the nib? Which
just
one?
A little nib, just a nib, like that.
I've always felt a connection to Phil Schiller. So,
okay,
Apple
That's
fellow.
a strong bite. It's a strong bite. It's a fellow bite.
I think I want Joz's powers. Because I want that job. That's the job I want.
Strategic approach. I like it.
The senior vice president of worldwide nibbing.
Yes, that would be me, baby. Nom, 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 nom.
There's some people in here I don't recognize. I haven't looked at this in a long time.
Oh, God.
Worldwide nibbing.
Well, that's a section of a podcast that we recorded. Let's do follow-up. We all know that the fine woven case is not that great. And I went out and picked up. By went out, I mean opened a web browser.
Went out onto the internet.
I went out onto the information superhighway and I bought myself a Nomad leather case. Now, they have two leather cases. They have Horween. Is that how you say it? Leather?
That's the good leather.
Yes, I bought the cheaper one because these...
Oh, parentheses. I also got one, and I got the good leather, and it's coming tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I don't have many complaints about the less expensive leather, but I really like this case for a few reasons. I like leather cases. Nomad has plastered all over their website that they've been carbon neutral since 2020. So smoke on that, Apple, I guess. But
yeah.
I think the leather's nicer than Apple's old cases, even the poor man leather that I got. The buttons are plastic, but they're really nice. They have a nice feel to them. And one thing I really like is that the Sleep, Wake, Siri, Apple Pay button is textured. So you can kind of feel it real easily as opposed to the other buttons on the other side. And it has a button for the action button, unlike the Peak Design case, which is a cutout. I don't know if we made it to this point last week in the show, but Peak Design is going to rework that case, and there's a bunch of options on their website. If you've bought one like me, they'll send you another one, or you can get credit towards something else. There's a bunch of different things. But one thing that's really clever about the Nomad case is that the sides aren't flat. They're scooped in. So what is that? Is that concave or convex? I don't remember which one is which. But
one of them.
It's concave unless somebody says it's convex, and then it's convex.
Yes.
That's hard to argue with.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
And so the buttons are like recessed a little bit, and it makes the phone feel more narrow in your hand, and it gives a place for your fingers to kind of go when you're holding it. I think it's all super well designed. The only thing I don't love about it is that the bottom of the case doesn't really hug the phone. It's like the Peak design case in that there's some like structure in the bottom. So there's a few millimeters of space between the bottom of the case and like where the phone is, where it can collect like pocket debris and stuff. So it does make the phone a hair taller than it is normally. But I think if you...
The phone's not moving around in there, though,
No,
right?
no. It's just like there's... I mean, if you look at the pictures, I think you can see it on their website. But I'm very happy with this. And I think if you are looking for a leather case, I think Federico can report back about the Horween leather. But I'm very happy with mine, and I give it a thumbs up.
That's good to hear. Yeah, and also like the reason why I got the Nomad one is that I did a lot of research last week. A Nomad, and I believe another that is coming. However, I sent them an email at the end of October. This other company called Bullstrap.
Bullstrap.
Yeah, I know with these names. Bulls. I got a thing for bulls, I guess.
You're bullish on this case.
No, not again. Please, not that thing again. These two companies, Nomad and Bullstrap, they have proper action buttons instead of like having left like a hole for reaching the action button, which is a big no from me.
How is this? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Understand. How did they know to do this?
Aren't these companies like isn't the whole thing about iPhone rumors that these companies get these CAD designs beforehand, like months before, and they can prepare accordingly? Like, what happened here with this action button? Why are all these companies struggling with, do we leave a hole or do we make it a button?
Well, because it's how confident, right? Like that's what I'm looking, when I see this, it's like, this is a confidence thing, right? Where like Bullstrap and Nomad, they were confident. Peak Design weren't confident.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right.
And if you're going to play it safe, a hole is safer than putting a button.
That's what
there.
I'm saying about the confidence thing, right?
Yeah.
And like, so maybe some companies either are more like they're more willing to take a risk, or they just have better sources, right? Mm-hmm. Like maybe Peak Design sources, they weren't as confident on it, so they didn't want to go the route of we're going to do this. Because also like you can notice a button, but like how big is the button? Like how much does it stick out? Like all that kind of stuff. And so there's new tooling, right, that you're going to need for the button, where the companies that just left a hole there, right, they had a hole there before, right? So they wouldn't necessarily need to like redo their tooling to account for here's a new button. Because then again, it was like people didn't know at certain points if that button was going to be a physical button or like a button that was like the Force Touch button, and then we weren't sure with like, would it actually require your finger? Was it going to be capacitive or not? Do you remember all those rumors? And so like if it was a capacitive button, it might not be able to have a physical button cover at all, so you'd want a hole there. So I don't know, it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare, and I would not and could not even imagine running one of these case companies. It just feels like so much stress. Oh, I hate it. I hate the thought of it. I think a lot about cases for somebody who doesn't have one. I don't, and I love it. I love this phone without a case on, boys. It's so good. It's just so nice, you know? And I don't have to worry about combos and stuff. I'm all good. I don't have to worry about the grain of a leather or carbon neutrality of a case. I just don't have one. It's great. Love it.
We have just a little collection of new iPhone related questions and feedback from listeners. So I thought we could kind of go through these. The first one I'm going to direct to you, Federico. David wrote in saying, can the action be set to undo? I still find myself annoyed at the 3-finger gestures, even if they are an improvement on shaking your device to undo.
Nope. But that's a pretty good idea. But there's no sort of system-wide undo action in shortcuts, which I think is a fantastic suggestion, but no, it doesn't exist.
It's so weird that we would shake and still shake our devices. Mm-hmm. That's such a strange thing.
Yeah, that first showed up as shake to shuffle on like ancient iPods. And they're like, oh, we can make it work on undo. And it was cute on the iPhone 3G, but now 2,700 years later, we're still doing it. It's very strange.
I do not remember shake to shuffle. That is a thing that I have no memory of.
Yeah, man.
That's wild.
Yeah, shake to shuffle.
Shake to shuffle.
It's my new ska band.
Okay. Albert wrote and said, I'm a cyclist and have been wanting to upgrade my camera to take better photos while out riding of landscapes, close-ups, animals in the distance, that kind of thing. I have been debating a dedicated camera versus the new Pro Max. Do you think the new camera system would do a decent job capturing long-distance cycling adventures? Stephen, as the cyclist of us, Federico, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Actually, real quick. Can you ride a bike?
What do you mean?
Do you know how to ride a bicycle?
Sure, yes.
Okay. I don't. I never learned to ride a bicycle.
That's what we can do. That could be our next dad project. I can teach you to ride a bike.
That could be the nephew and uncle. My dad never taught me how to ride a bike, so Uncle Stephen will. There's something kind of sad about that because it is actually true. Like, no, my dad never taught me how to ride a bike.
When I was little, I was big time into riding my bike. In fact, something that we would do every summer with my friends at the sort of glamping area where my parents used to take me. We would ride a bike for like 30 minutes off this like road that like runs along the coast of central Italy, because like 20 minutes away from the camping area there was this golf course. Okay, and we would go there outside the golf course where cars would drive because we wanted to steal golf balls that made their way onto the road. So we would go there. We would go there with like our bags or like a plastic bag or something, and drop our bikes, and on the side of the road steal the golf balls, which I still have.
You, as a golfist, you're not stealing that ball. That ball's gone. That ball is lost to the world. That's free balls for you, you know?
We thought we were stealing them, and that made it feel more dangerous. So yeah, I would like to keep that memory like that.
Anyway, so Stephen, question goes back to you. Is this a good idea camera-wise?
I think the Pro Max is a great camera for this. You could do something like one of those like little compact Sonys, like the ZV-2 or whatever RX100 generation they're on now, but that's a lot of money, and they're really bulky compared to a phone that you're already going to have on you. So I would say go for the Pro Max and enjoy it.
I've got a phrase for you that I just came up with, guys. I think you might like it. The best camera is the one you have on you. Do you like that?
Ooh. Very good, interesting.
Right? I just came up with that.
That's good.
So
I will insert here a comment about iOS 17 and watchOS 10's cycling features, where you start a cycling workout on your watch and you can have basically a full screen live activity that turns your phone into a bike computer. I sent you all a screenshot over the weekend. I was out on a ride, and I love that feature. And there's a bunch of different screens, so you could have your heart rate be the most important thing, or your speed, or your mileage, whatever you want. And it's really awesome. And I like that cycling is getting special attention over at the Apple Watch offices. Brent wrote in, I am one of the sickos that listens to podcasts on audio. I'm not usually able to tune in for the live event itself for more than an hour or so, but I still enjoy hearing all the antics. Well, Brent, it's now in the departures feed, so go wild.
Yeah, but one, Brent, I appreciate that you are willing to self-identify as a sicko, because you are one. You can also watch it, though. Like, it's on YouTube.
It's true.
You don't just because you missed it, it's not like, oh, now I have to have the audio. The video is there, too, But, hey, it takes all kinds.
It does.
In the world.
Maybe you want a transcript of it and you want to read it.
For some fire up Whisper.
I wonder how long it'll take Whisper to transcribe a 12-hour event.
Yeah, I don't know.
Less time than it took YouTube to publish to process the video.
Oh, don't it, dude? I can't even talk about it. I'm so mad.
I got a couple GPUs. Maybe I can help. Just hook them up.
Fire up the eGPUs, boys.
Fire them up. That's gonna be totally carbon neutral as a thing to do. And just transcribe 12 hours of podcastathon audio. That's fine.
Easy peasy.
Now I want to try it.
You should just do it. You should just do it. Just see. Why not?
Why not?
I mean, I do have Whisper set up to run on GPU as a thing I tested a while back.
Someone should do it.
I also have a piece of follow-up that I wanted to mention. Apple is destroying my life. Metaphorically speaking.
Of course.
They're at his home taking his belongings out right now.
No, it's a metaphor. Oh, okay.
No, it's all these bytes, man. It's what it is.
Too many nibs.
No, but I am really struggling with reminders because of these two specific bugs that I've been mentioning for the past couple of months, and they're still not fixed in the 17.1 beta 2 that came out yesterday for developers, just a few minutes ago in the public beta. They are making it impossible for me to keep using reminders, which, by the way, I would love to keep using reminders. However, when your task manager does not let you enter due dates for a task, now that's a pretty bad issue. And I have this problem in two different flavors on the iPad and on the iPhone. On the iPad, because of that floating keyboard thing that I keep mentioning, whenever I enter a task title, and part of that title, there's the natural language date, the date picker disappears. So on my iPad with the Magic Keyboard, say I enter call mom and then I type today at 11 p.m. on the iPad, the date picker thing disappears. And there's no way for me to, like, if I press enter, it does not get converted into a due date. The task title becomes call mom today at 11 p.m. So that's on the iPad. On the iPhone, there's no external keyboard that I'm using, of course. But when I enter a due date, iOS, instead of correctly parsing the date, just randomly assigns a random date. For example, if I type Monday at 10 a.m., it becomes today at 2 a.m. Just a random date.
Why is this? Because this works for me.
So a bunch of people have asked me, like, oh, is it because you have a weird region setting on your phone? No, I do not. I have my phone set to the English language. I am using the US region setting, and I am not using 24-hour time. So I am, quote unquote, an American with an English-speaking phone, just trying to do American things like entering a due date in a task manager.
The old American pastime.
Every American does it. They have
the
dinner.
American dream.
Living the American life. You have dinner at 6 p.m. and then you realize, well, I got a few hours here, got a few hours to kill. Better enter some tasks. I'm living my best American life over here, and yet Apple doesn't let me because they have these date bugs. And I'm like, look, I really want to use reminders. Like, I really love reminders, but these two problems are pretty like core features of a task manager. And so,
it's so weird that it's not working for you and not working for you so badly, and on multiple platforms.
In two different ways on two different platforms. I guess it works on the Mac. So,
good.
Yay.
Good.
I could use
Everybody knows you could only get real task management done on the Mac. Everybody knows.
Too bad the rest of reminders is worse on the Mac than the iPhone and iPad.
Don't mention that. So while I am crossing my fingers and waiting for these problems to get fixed, I have been looking at things again. I don't think like I don't think I would like to switch the things for all the reasons why I love reminders. The Siri capture, the column view, which is new this year. But things as one thing going forward, which I mentioned last week, and I've continued to play with it, and I think it's really interesting. That idea of using the action button in things to sort of as a right click, essentially. Things as a shortcuts action called edit selected item, or I guess get selected item. And the idea is whatever is selected in the app, you can modify it. And so using the action button with that shortcut, I created like a little thing where if I select a task in things and I press the action button, I can reschedule it, like a date picker comes up. And it's like
very clever.
It's a very easy and fast way to select something. Let me move it to tomorrow, for example.
So this is a shortcut that you can assign to the action button.
Yes.
That when you're in the app and you do something, it brings up their like right-click menu, essentially.
Well, it's not their right-click menu, it's my right-click menu, in the sense that the shortcuts date picker comes up, and it lets me select a date from the calendar and a time, and then it modifies the selected to-do.
But it's the things shortcut action, though.
Yes.
Oh, no. Yeah. So that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like you assign a shortcut action to the action button that is from things.
Yes.
And then when you are in things and you press the button, it modifies something inside of the application.
Yes. That's exactly what it does.
If you press that button and you haven't got things open?
Well, you will have to wait for my next multi-button update to find out.
Okay. But like if you were to assign it, it wouldn't do anything? Or what?
So all right. So it's a small spoiler, I guess. I am working on this system where, because I am convinced that more developers are going to ship these actions that are like contextual to the app that you're using. I believe Halide, the camera app, they're doing something along these lines today. I believe they're launching it today or this week, something similar. And I think more developers will follow. I am working on this system where the action button switches to that behavior only if one of these apps is open. And it's a very simple automation. You're effectively logging. Is things open? Is Highlight open? Is something else open? And if it is, you press the action button and it becomes contextual. If it's not, it falls back to whatever you want to use the action button for.
That is very cool.
Yeah. But anyway, hoping for reminders, fixes at some point, please.
Things is the best looking to-do app.
Yes.
Right?
It is. It is.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Best to-do app and best shortcuts integration and best keyboard support.
Yeah.
They have their quirks.
Well, the biggest issue is the one that we've been talking about forever is the way that they handle repeating tasks, that you can't deal with them before the date. And that's the thing that I just can't. I can't use it as my main app. I do use things for certain tasks. Like I have a bunch of like templates that I built with their new shortcut actions that I run. So like for posting Cortex, I have like a very long checklist and I run it in things. And I've moved my packing list from notes to things. And it's very nice and very easy. I just run a shortcut and it can do it. And it just pulls in a project and duplicates that project and I can run with it. And I love doing that and I find it very good. But I just can't. It's not something that I could do for my every task stuff because I do a lot of repeating reminders, but I don't necessarily do them on the day that I set.
One last bit of follow-up / breaking news. iOS 17.0.3 is out. According to our friend Chance Miller at 9to5Mac, it addresses the overheating concerns on the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. Apple says this update provides important bug fixes, security updates, and addresses an issue that may cause iPhone to run warmer than expected. This episode of Connected is brought to you by Fitbod. When you want to change your fitness level, it can be hard to know where to start. That's why I'm pleased to let you know that Fitbod is an easy and affordable way to build a fitness plan that's just for you. Everyone's fitness path is different, which is why Fitbod uses actual data to make sure they customize things to suit you. By using a powerful algorithm to learn about you, your goals, and your training ability, Fitbod will create a custom dynamic program based on your experience and any equipment you may have. This is all in an app that makes it incredibly easy to learn and perform each exercise. Superior results are achieved when a workout program is tailored to your unique body, experience, environment, and goals. Muscles improve when working in concert with the entire muscular system, so overworking some muscles while underworking others can negatively impact your results. That's why Fitbod tracks muscle fatigue and recovery to design a well-balanced workout routine. By mixing up muscle groups, exercises, sets, reps, and weight over time, Fitbod serves to increase your overall strength and keep your body sharp. This also keeps your gym sessions fresh and fun by mixing up workouts with new exercises. The app is really easy to use, and my favorite thing in it is the collection of over 1,400 HD video tutorials. These are shot from multiple angles so you can make sure that learning each exercise is a breeze. You can also keep track of your achievements and personal best with their built-in tracking charts. And of course, Fitbod integrates with your Apple Watch, Wear OS smartwatches, and apps like Strava, Fitbit, and Apple Health. I love that Fitbod is a coach. Not only is it laying out my exercises for me, but it does teach me how to do things with those videos. And if you are on the road and maybe you don't have access to a gym, you can say, hey, I'm just doing a body weight workout today, and it will adjust everything. Or if you get something new for your home gym, you can add that equipment and Fitbod will bring it into the application and start working it in for you. Personalized training of this quality can be expensive, but Fitbod is just $12.99 a month or $79.99 a year. You can get 25% off your membership by signing up at fitbod.me/connected. So go now and get your customized fitness plan at Fitbod, Fitbod, fitbod.me/connected for 25% off your membership. Our thanks to Fitbod for their support of the show and Relay FM. Exciting news.
Okay.
This is, for realsies, the final call for our annual St. Jude campaign.
Final call, part 2, _final.
Yes. As of our recording, we are over our previous record by $50,000, which is
it's pretty great.
Incredible. I did not expect that. It's amazing. Our community is the best. But if you haven't given, there's still a few days. And the reason we do this is because St. Jude's mission is that no child should die of cancer. And with your support, we'll be one step closer to that day, one cure closer, one child closer. We spoke about an area of the hospital called the Family Commons during the podcastathon, and I think last week on the show, it's this really cool 45,000 square foot area that's just for families, and there's a recording studio, an art room, a maker space, all sorts of things where a family can unwind and disconnect from life in the hospital and reconnect with each other. But something that is just as important of a space, and I think just as innovative as a space, is the St. Jude Imagine Academy by Chili's. And this is a school that St. Jude has spanning from preschool through 12th grade for patients who will be at St. Jude for upward of 6 weeks. And so the staff at the school includes teachers trained in English language learner instruction, visual impairment instruction and services. They have a librarian on staff, a STEM coordinator. There's even reading dogs who visit to read with the kids. And this academy helps patients keep up with schoolwork back home when they're undergoing treatment, but also gives patients what they need at that moment so they can be responsive to where the patient is in their treatment, how they're feeling that day, and they can adjust things as they go. There's also a kindergarten and high school graduation ceremony every year. Our son Josiah graduated kindergarten through this school, and it was like the most adorable thing you've ever seen. A bunch of St. Jude patients in caps and gowns walking across a stage in this like beautiful venue. Super cool. You can find clips on YouTube from St. Jude's high school graduations in the past. I love this because St. Jude is in the business of not only treating a patient's cancer or disease, but they're treating the patient themselves and the family themselves. And they want to make sure they can do everything they can to keep life moving forward for these families. It's super cool, and it's just one of many, many things I love about St. Jude. So you want to go to stjude.org/relay. We would love your support this year to support the life-saving mission of St. Jude. And on Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, Myke and I will be hosting the closing ceremonies. We're going to wind down the campaign with a 2-hour stream on Myke's Twitch channel, so be sure to look out for that. But please go to stjude.org/relay to learn more and donate. Thank you all very much for an amazing September.
And yes, the closing ceremonies are similar to the closing ceremonies on Connected in that they don't actually really close anything. We will be doing a stream, but the campaign closes later that day.
Yeah, the campaign closes at 10 p.m. Eastern on Friday.
Which is better than last year where we did the closing ceremonies and then kept the campaign open for a week.
We're evolving each year that we do this.
Yeah, we're getting better. This is a learning process for all of us, But sometimes if people want to keep giving money, you have to keep accepting the money for the kids.
Go give.
Which is why it's still September and October, because we're up to $756,000 now. Which I will just say, by the way, if you happen to be sitting on like $36,000, you should donate it. That's all I'm going to say,
Because that means we're at $3 million.
Yeah.
In 5 years.
Yeah. We're like staring down the barrel of $3 million. And so if you have that and you, for some reason, just haven't donated yet, you should go to stjude.org/relay and donate that. Come on.
I'll tell you what, if someone closes that gap in a single donation, I'll give you one of anything out of my collection. Just, you can pick whatever you want.
Oh, there's a TAM up for grabs. It only costs $36,000. Come on. That's actually, now, I really hope you have to live to regret that.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
$36,000 for the kids.
Come plunder the pod cabin.
Oh, come on. Write all this down. It won't happen this time, but write it down. There are some new betas again.
Somehow, yeah. How are we still talking about new betas? We do it all summer.
I know.
Why is it here again?
I think we did it last week, but we're doing it again. But they are actually adding things. So 17.1 beta 2. Mm-hmm. So we have some new display controls for standby mode that let you choose to turn the display off after 20 seconds, to never turn it off, or to always allow Apple to choose what to do. It's like automatic, which is how it's been set, but now there are options. It is worth noting that these options only exist for always-on display phones. You can't set it to never turn off on a non-always-on display phone. So that's there in case you want that. I've been trying out standby this past week on my bedside. It's fine. I actually realize I don't need it. What I like about standby is not helpful to me on my bedside, because when I put my phone on charge, I don't look at the screen anymore, But so yeah, it's just like a funny thing, but it's there, it's fine, whatever. But I still love it for everything else. They also added the Apple Watch double tap thing in watchOS 10.1, so that's there now. I'm looking forward to trying that out. I'll be able to report on that for the show.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm the only one of the three of us that has it. I'm not going to put the beta on my watch, so we're going to need to wait until that comes out later on. An interesting addition, but I think a good one. So I really like the Photo Shuffle lock screen. It's a cool lock screen option. They've now added the ability for you to choose photos from a specific album.
Oh, finally.
In Photo Shuffle. Because previously you could choose, I think, from one of three things. One of those things was people, where you could choose people, but as Jason spoke about on Upgrade once, not so long ago, it's a seemingly random set of people sometimes. But I have one of Adina, it just shuffles through when I'm in my recording focus. So there are just different images that show up on my lock screen, which I like. So you can now just be, so Stephen, you can choose from one of your many, many albums.
That's good. I still have a bunch floating around because they didn't add them to shared libraries.
Mm-hmm. But now you can have them on your lock screen, I guess. Mm-hmm. This is honestly the weirdest thing that I found. New ringtones.
Yes. So they added these new ringtones, I believe, in 17, and they got removed in the first beta of 17.1, and now they're back again.
Everyone's you got to fix the bugs in the ringtones.
That sounds like someone messed up a Git repo, like they got dropped accidentally.
Yes. It's like, hey, where's the files? Where's the tones? It's like, no, the tones are back.
I really don't know what would happen to mean that these chain of events occurred.
That's okay.
Right? With the ringtone? Weird. And I feel like surprisingly, no new emoji yet, but that might pop up in another beta, but I reckon it will come out with 17.1.
I have a theory about this.
Please tell me.
I think that I think 17.1 will come and go, and new emoji will be in 17.2 with the journal app.
I agree with that.
Oh, and maybe finally the only feature I want from iOS 17, which is sticker tapbacks.
So I'm ready to call it 17.2 new emoji, sticker tapbacks, journal app, and collaborative playlists in Apple Music.
That's a good release.
Big chunky update.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's almost like 18.
Myke, we opened the show with your feeling of abandonment from Federico and John.
Yes.
There is a tvOS review over on Mac Stories, and
I would just like to state for the record, I don't blame John.
Just Federico.
Just me.
Yeah, Federico was the one who said it. He said the thing. He said tvOS guy. You know?
And so because I said it, you think it's my fault.
That's an interesting... You sound like a YouTuber, you know what? Yep, look, Sigmund is really good. A good guy. I had a good time meeting Sigmund at WWDC. He is the proprietor, is that the right word? Of ScreenTimes.net, and he also hosts a podcast called Magic Rays of Light. Sigmund has a great accent. Not biased or anything. And does he is devoted himself to these verticals, right? Like Apple's television stuff. And Sigmund, I think, was quite smart. He's like one of these people that jumped in on this when Apple started and then has been around since. And so is a very good person to write a tvOS review. And I enjoyed going through it. And just as a top line, the big features of tvOS: new control center, which I do not like the look of. I think it's ugly. It's useful. FaceTime and continuity camera. So having FaceTime calls on your TV, but using the camera. VPN support is going to be really cool, I think.
Finally.
I think it'd be really good for people that like take Apple TVs with them to hotels, which is like a very cool thing to do. Although Apple really needs to just get that AirPlay and hotel TV thing more widely out in the world, because Chromecasting is so simple and like you can do it in basically all hotels. So Apple need to do that. That was a thing they announced, so I'm looking forward to seeing more about that. And there's also the Siri remote finding as well, which is a cool thing. And it works kind of like how it did in the original AirPods Pro, where like it just gives you the rough idea because it's just using Bluetooth. It doesn't have one of the U1 chips in it. So, but yeah, it's a cool release and it's a good review from Sigmund.
It's really good, and I do want to use this as an opportunity, Federico. I'm sure you all will share more about this on App Stories, but you are expanding the Mac Stories crew a little bit.
Yeah. In fact, we've been working on this over the past month.
There are more and friends now.
There are more and friends. That is correct. You were making fun of me for being, Federico Vitici and friends, and the friends were only John.
There's more
and
friends.
Alex. Now there's more friends, and so we've been working on this for the past month and a half or so. And today we sort of made it official. We have 2 new friends of Mac Stories. Nileanne Dorfer. She has been an incredible member of our club Discord, and just out of the blue, I believe a month and a half or so ago, I sent her a DM being like, hey, this is totally out of the blue. Have you ever thought about writing? Because like sometimes I get a good feel for people who are into the same sort of things that I am into. And so Nileanne will be writing a Mac Stories. She published her first article on the site today. She's got more coming. And Jonathan Reed, you may have noticed Jonathan has been helping us out over the past month in the Discord, as well as having a regular column in Mac Stories Weekly. And Jonathan is going to be our sort of official Discord community manager, because we realized we needed some help in terms of keeping up with the Discord, keeping up with content from members, and sort of highlighting interesting things happening on Discord. And so we sort of announced this small expansion of the team today. It's been in the works for quite a while, and I have my eye on a few other folks that
watch out, everyone. He's coming to get you.
I am on a hiring spree, but yeah, no, it's good to finally have the time and mind space, I guess, to think about this, which is important, to have more and different voices on Mac Stories, especially. I feel like the website really needed that. So yeah, it's going to be fun to see what they come up with.
Today is the day of Google's Pixel 8 event. So we have some links in the show notes to the Verge coverage, a video by MKBHD, a couple other things. I watched the keynote this morning. It was pretty short. It was live in front of what looked like to be a very small audience. So Google's been ahead of Apple in this. I don't think Apple's ever going to go back probably to on-stage things. But they announced a new Pixel Watch 2, and then the Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro. And there were a couple of things that I think were interesting. When I think about the Google Pixel, I think about AI, software magic, and the cameras. And those two things are very linked in the Pixel, even more so than ever. So at the heart of these new phones is the Tensor G3 chip. This is the third generation of this Tensor chip that Google's been developing. And there was a big emphasis in the event of doing machine learning and AI neural network tasks on device. Now, there's still some stuff they're sending you out to the cloud for, but Google has not been immune to Apple's push for privacy in these things. And I think them saying, hey, this, and this, including the big one, I think, for all speech to text being on device is a good move. And I think that in particular, people are going to feel much more comfortable with that being on device.
I mean, even if you don't care about that, it's just better because it's faster.
And it's faster. Absolutely. And it works offline, all those things. The 8 Pro has a temperature sensor. It's waiting on FDA approval to use it on people, even though that's going to be the first thing that everybody does is try it on themselves and other people. But you can use the new thermometer app and tell the app what you're scanning, and it will tell you the temperature of it. And I think that has to do with...
Can you tell it you're scanning an iPhone 15 Pro?
Well, not after 1703. It's all fixed.
But why?
Because 3 years ago during COVID, someone was like, "Oh, it'd be great if our phone had a thermometer," and it took 3 years to do it.
I'm not really... I was recording at the time of the keynote, so I did not watch the keynote. I saw some of the end of it. I actually didn't see the Pixel part of it.
I mean... They want to talk about it as a health thing, but without FDA approval, they're a little tied to you can measure the temperature of things. Isn't that cool?
I mean, don't you love the idea? Don't you love the idea if your significant other says, "Hey, babe, I think I have a fever," and you're like, "Hold on, let me put my phone on your forehead."
Babe, wake up, new fever drops.
No, you see, this is what I'm saying though. Like, I mean, what? Like, you just stick it in the, like, what do you do? I don't know. This is a weird feature to me, like, to put a temperature sensor on a phone.
Gonna treat your partner like there's some NFC card or something. Like, hey, let me just put my phone on your head.
It's odd. This feels like a strange feature to me.
Let me scan you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how you feel when Apple does it in 2 years.
Well, but even like I said, I want it on my watch. I don't like, so it's already on my.
Well, it is on the watch. It's just not. It's
but I
this.
can't take my temperature on it though. That's what.
You know when Apple's gonna do it, they're gonna give it some silly name like dynamic hotness or magic temperature, whatever. It's like, and now we're all gonna love it. We're not gonna be like, oh, this is incredible, the integration of hardware and software on iOS.
I genuinely don't think that. I can't imagine Apple putting a temperature, like a thermometer on the iPhone.
I mean, all these companies, they copy each other eventually. If it becomes a thing that people expect, like if somehow this silly thing takes off.
I'm going to make a bet here, and someone can check this back in a year. The Pixel 9 will not have a thermometer on it.
Interesting.
This is my bet. Someone write this down.
I'm putting it in my task manager.
I feel like every now and again, Google had a thing, and then it goes away. Do you remember when it could sense your movement?
Or a Google Reader. No Google Pixel 9 comes with a...
Is this a risky pick?
Look, if we're now instituting the idea that we can just do it at any point, then sure.
All right, October 4th, 2024.
And I'd like to be proven wrong that it is useful, but at the moment, I don't understand it.
Do you think you can tell the Google Assistant, hey, I'm cooking a steak, and you can place your phone while you're cooking a steak and it detects the optimal temperature?
You tell us, Stephen. Do you have to actually physically touch this phone against the thing to get the temperature?
No, you like put it up right up next to it.
Okay.
Right next to
the steak.
So okay. All right, somebody should try it.
So you're going to get steak juice on the phone?
That's fine.
Just after that, just give it a little lick. And
just a little bite.
Done.
The 8 Pro has a 3-camera array in that camera bar across the back, a 50-megapixel main sensor, a 48-megapixel telephoto lens with 5x zoom, and a 48-megapixel ultra-wide camera.
They seem big.
At this point, it's too early to know how these images look in the real world, but it jumped out at me that they've gone to high-megapixel sensors on all their cameras, where Apple is still just doing that on the main camera, and the others are wimpier.
I'm keen to see why they did that, because it doesn't really feel like it was something Google has put too much focus in over time, and now it seems like they're going big across the board. That is intriguing to me. Like, what do you know, Google? You know, like, what do they know over there?
The other kind of hardware thing is the design is basically what we've seen from the Pixel 7, right? So I think it's a pretty polarizing design. You either like it or you don't. But they've stuck with that this year. The screens are brighter. I think they go to like 2400 nits, which is brighter than the 15 Pro and Pro Max. But the software is really the story with the Pixel, right? I mean, the hardware is interesting, but the software is kind of why Google does it. They're promising 7 years of software, security, and feature drop updates. Fantastic. I think previously this Pixel was...
And they're proud of this. They're like, no other manufacturer does this, they said, which is true so far.
Mm-hmm. And I like that they're promising it in advance. You may get that retroactively on an iPhone, or you may not. It just kind of depends on where things are. So I like that you purchase it with that in mind. I think that's pretty cool.
I think it's pretty clear at this point that we are on the precipice of some new age of technology, right? Like, whether you like it or not, it's happening, right? And I feel like at this point, stuff is moving so fast that, like, you don't really know what the capabilities of our smartphones are going to be in 7 years' time. So I feel like it is a very bold statement to make, like, today. Like, oh, yeah, we're going to keep this phone going for a long time. Like, and it's just, yeah, interesting. Like, I don't know the particulars of it. Like, maybe then it wouldn't necessarily get every feature that every Pixel will get for the next 7 years. I mean, they're not saying that at all. But yeah, it's an interesting, and it is a bold move, but I think is a good one, right? If Google are trying to entice more people to get a Pixel. Like, if you're an Android user and you hear that, it's like, oh, well, no one else is offering me anything near this. So maybe it'll give you the stability that you might want to buy it. But I also think at the same time, the typical Pixel customer maybe isn't that person. I don't know.
I think Pixel owners are very much like iPhone Pro owners. Like, they are going to upgrade more frequently than most people. But it is interesting. It is notable because Google has tried this so many times through various things through the Android world. But with the Pixel, obviously they control much more of it. And so I am very curious to see how this is going to play out over the next.
I think it is a good idea. It is a good idea in the sense of if you want to sell more Pixels, right? That is giving the Pixel a different competitive advantage over other Android phones by giving customers that peace of mind.
There's a bunch of photo video stuff. So Magic Editor is one of the brands, but there's also Magic Eraser, which you've seen before. Basically lots of AI assisted touch-up tools. You can take something out of a photo, you can move a subject around in a photo. There's one feature coming later that you can optionally upload your video to Google, and like they do a bunch of stuff in the cloud, then your video returns to your phone, like nicely processed and changed. It does kind of lead back to the conversation of like, what is a photograph? Like these phones, and not just the Pixel, but the iPhone to a lesser extent, they're doing a lot of computational stuff. And what you get in your file at the end of the day is not really what the camera saw. And I think that's great if the outcome is good, but it does lead to some like philosophical hand-wringing in corners of the internet. And that's always interesting.
I feel like I'm like bar humbugging a lot of this, which is not necessarily what I'm intended to do. And there is something in a minute that I am actually pretty excited about, and I think is kind of cool. Some of these features, I don't like them, and I think they're really weird. So, like, they're effectively putting the tools into Google Photos to just completely fake parts of images.
Yes.
And, like, I just don't... Why are they doing that? I don't... It's weird to me. Like, I guess... Okay, I know why they're doing it, right? Like, obviously, I understand why they're doing it. Someone's going to do it, so why not do it? But, like, they show this, like, commercial that they made. And, like, one part is, like, a kid jumps on a trampoline to dunk a basketball, right? And then deletes the trampoline. So it looks like he's just, like, jumped, like, 8 feet in the air. And it's like, well... but that's... Right? You know what I mean? It's like, that's a fun image, but also, I don't know. Is it different to photoshopping? I don't know, right? Like, but
you've taken it a bit too far. Maybe like we get it that like
maybe.
But yeah, it's a fine balance with all these things. I think, you know, using machine learning and AI in this case to like sort of augment the photo capturing experience. But I feel like I agree with you. You can only take it so far. When you cross that threshold of like, oh, this is totally fake. Like, are you capturing? Like, the purpose of a photo is to capture a moment, right? It's to capture reality so that like you can relive a moment or take a look again at a beautiful scene or whatever. But when you're doing it, like, what's the difference between doing this and say download one of those special effects apps from the App Store, or like you take a video of your kid and you make your kid look like it is Batman, you know, just, you know, like, I feel like I agree with you. You can only take it so far, and maybe this is too far as like an AI assisted feature.
Because like Photoshop has always existed, but it's hard to fake things, right? Like it takes a lot of effort. This takes zero effort to fake things.
And it's built into your phone, not an expensive computer application.
Which is impressive. Like,
very impressive.
It is remarkable from a technical perspective, but I feel like I come down on the side of I want my phone to help me take better pictures, not to take unrealistic pictures.
To dream things, like just make things up. They're just making stuff up.
Like, otherwise, if I need to dream things, I need to live a different life, maybe, I guess. Like, you know, like, oh, but what if there were actually like two mountains in front of you? No, there was one. If I wanted to have another mountain in front of me, I would have gone to a different place. You know,
it's a strange. So, it's look. This is just the questions that we're going to be asking ourselves for the years to come, and it's, you know, things are getting less complicated and more complicated every single day, and what we're willing to accept now is very different to what we were willing to accept 2 years ago, and that's just going to keep changing, and we're just going to get used to it, and that's that. But like, sometimes when I see these things, I can't help but ask myself the question of like, was this one too far? And I don't know yet, you know. Like, similarly, they have a feature which is like, it's interesting, but it's also it's less weird, but just weird in a different way. So you can take a picture of people, and then if someone's blinking or they're making a weird face, you can just replace their head in the image with like a better head of theirs, which I see the utility of that more, but it is also just really weird as a feature. But I'm just going to skip ahead because I feel like I'm being a real downer. So they showed off Assistant with Bard. So like putting their AI into Google Assistant looks incredible. It looks so good. This was just like we're working on this, it's coming soon, but here's some examples of what it can do. And it's just like, if I missed any emails in the last 2 days, it gives you a summary of the emails. It's like, that party looks cool. Where is the party? And it shows you, it's like, how am I going to get there? And it's just like, you're just having a conversation with a Google Assistant and it's pulling all this information in. Like one thing, it's like, here's a picture of my dog. I want to post it on social media, but what shall I say? It wrote a cool caption for the person to post it. It's like, this stuff is like, yes, this is cool. Like, I think this is good. I like the look of this. My only question is like, because with the email example, they're like, integrates with Gmail. It's like, will it only work with Gmail? Like, do I have to use all Google services to do this when like realistically this thing should be able to read anything on my phone? But that's going to be the way this lock-in stuff is. We're going to see how that plays out. But that the Assistant with Bard stuff was like, okay, this is the kind of thing that I want to see, where this is where we spoke about this on the show a lot, right? And I think we did with Microsoft Office and Copilot and stuff. The things that are easiest for me to understand and accept and all that kind of stuff is when it's taking my information that I already have and surfacing it to me in a easier, more understandable way. Like, it's not doing something that someone else would be doing. It's not creating, hopefully, something that doesn't exist. Like, it's just like, these are my emails. They're already in my inbox. Just summarize them for me, So that kind of stuff I think is very cool. And I'm really intrigued to see what do we call, like, these things, like smart assistants. I forgot the term for them.
Generative AI?
No, like what was like
virtual
the Amazon Echo and Siri. What did we call them?
Yeah, assistants.
Yeah. Okay. One of these powered by a good AI model on a device could be cool. I'm interested in that.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by ExpressVPN. We all know how a VPN protects your privacy and security online, but you can also use ExpressVPN to unlock movies and shows that are only available in other countries. We just talked about this in the tvOS update section of the show. Lots of examples out there of things that are available to watch in regions that you may not be in. So Friends is on UK Netflix, as is Parks and Recreation. Vikings is on Canadian Netflix. In Australia, on Netflix, they got Rick and Morty. And Fargo is available in Canada. It's super easy to do. You just fire up the ExpressVPN app, change your location, refresh Netflix, and that's it. ExpressVPN changes where sites think you're located. You can choose from almost 100 different countries, and just think about all the Netflix libraries you could go through. So if you love Korean dramas, you can use ExpressVPN to watch Parasite on South Korean Netflix. And it's not just Netflix. ExpressVPN works with any streaming service, Hulu, BBC iPlayer, YouTube, whatever you want. There are hundreds of VPNs out there, but ExpressVPN is super fast, which is what you want when you're watching something. No buffering, no lag, and you can stream in HD. ExpressVPN is also compatible with all your devices, phones, media consoles, smart TVs, and more. So you can watch what you want, wherever you want. So if you want to get access to hundreds of new shows, check out this link, expressvpn.com/connected, and you can get 3 extra months of ExpressVPN for free. That's expressvpn.com/connected. Once again, it's expressvpn.com/connected to learn more and get 3 extra months for free. Our thanks to ExpressVPN for the support of the show and Relay FM. macOS Sonoma is out. There's a great review by John on Mac Stories. We did our most recent episode of MPU about Sonoma as well. And I want to get y'all's take on some of the features, starting with desktop widgets. How is that treating you, Myke?
It's the best feature of Sonoma.
Yeah. Whoever says they're boring, I don't know what to say.
They're boring.
No, because Jason doesn't like them.
Well, if Jason says they're boring, Jason's boring.
But so here's the thing. I was just listening to Upgrade as I was driving back home this afternoon, and I got to that chapter where you're talking about Sonoma and desktop widgets. And Jason raised this interesting point where he said, and he wrote as much in his review, that the utility of interactive widgets on the desktop on macOS is to an extent diminished by the fact that on a Mac you can just open a window and get something done, and you can use any launcher you want and just pull up a window real quick, and instead of checking a reminder on your desktop you can just open reminders or leave reminders open. But here's the thing. I don't like having too many windows open on my Mac. And I feel
agree.
like for someone like me, who's not, maybe I should be ashamed of being this kind of Mac user. But the thing is, I don't want to leave too many windows open. And so having that little thing peeking from the corner of my desktop where I can just click it, it's perfect.
I've been doing it. I got shortcut widgets on my desktop, and I'm just clicking them. Because I also don't cover my Mac with Windows, I've positioned the ones that I want to use most in a place where the desktop is usually visible, so I can just click them. I don't need to do anything else. Plus, I use Stage Manager, so I found myself looking at desktop accidentally quite a lot during the day. And so, I can quite frequently click on things. And I also realized how great is it to have batteries all there, Like, it's like, oh, here's the battery of my keyboard, and here's the battery of my trackpad. It's just all very visible to me. I like that. It's good.
I'm with Jason. I think the idea is good, but I think they're in the wrong place. I think having them on the desktop doesn't make a lot of sense, even with the new feature, which I turned off immediately, where you click your desktop and it does expose to throw all your windows away.
Well, it does make sense if you enable it, but if you don't like it, it doesn't make sense, right? Like, as somebody who does have that feature on because I use Stage Manager, it is a very good and fast way to get to widgets.
Right, but they force that on people who don't use Stage Manager, and I think the percentage of Mac users using Stage Manager is probably tiny.
I will just say, I think maybe the people inside of Apple currently using Stage Manager might not be that many, because they've done something in Sonoma that I cannot understand. Would you like to hear about it?
Please.
So previously, you could shift-click on a stage, right? One of the things on the left-hand side, right? The little window preview things. And it would bring your most recently opened window into the stage that you're currently in. So it's like a way to quickly bring applications from an existing stage into your current one. But now this seems to be working completely inconsistently. I've had it work the way that I want. I have had it give me a seemingly random set of apps and windows from that. I have had it where I've opened a window, so I've opened a new window, gone to another stage, and then what I would usually do is shift and click, and it will bring that most recent window into the stage that I'm now currently in. I have had it where it's brought every window except that one into the stage. So like the exact inverse, but also not reliably. So I don't know what it's supposed to be doing right now, but it's not working the way it was supposed to, and there are no settings, and it doesn't really seem like anything has changed specifically. What I have found out today, I think it does a thing that I'm not sure if it did before. I can click on the window and drag it in, and it will bring the most recently opened window from that stage preview into my current one, which is what shift-click used to do. But now shift-click does something completely different that I can't get my head around. Could be a bug. I have no idea. But I am starting to wonder if people inside of Apple really rate Stage Manager on the Mac, because it hasn't got any of the new features that the iPad version has got, and is seemingly just started to collect bugs already within a year. So as a Stage Manager user, I'm a little bit upset about this. Have you heard this before? I'm upset about the state of Stage Manager on the Mac after 12 months.
You sound like me from last year, Myke, and I think it's wild. I think it's wild that we're now in this position where Stage Manager for iPad is the good one and the Mac one is not. I think it's like reminders. They'll fix it eventually.
Until then, if you want to read about stuff we spoke about, links are in the show notes in your podcast player. They're also on the web at relay.fm/connected/470. There you can get in touch with the submit feedback link, and that goes to a form on our website where you can leave us feedback or follow up. There's also a link to Get Connected Pro, which is a longer ad-free version of the show each and every week. Membership comes with a bunch of really cool perks, including access to the Relay FM members Discord, newsletter, members-only podcasts, lots of fun stuff. So go check that out. You can find us all online. You can find Federico. He's the editor-in-chief of MacStories.net, overseeing a growing team over there. You can follow Federico on Mastodon as Vitici at MacStories.net. You can find Myke on a bunch of other shows here on Relay FM. He's also doing great work over at Cortex Brand, and you can follow him on Mastodon as iMyke at Myke.social. You can find my writing at 512pixels.net, and I co-host Mac Power Users on Sundays here on Relay FM, and I am ISMH at eworld.social on Mastodon. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Fitbod and ExpressVPN, and until next week, guys, say goodbye.
Arrivederci.
Cheerio.
Bye, y'all.